All right, what's up, guys? VV back with another video. That's right. And in today's video, I got a little bit of a brainstorm video for you guys, a little bit of a theory crafting style video that I wanted to run by you guys. Kind of talking about a new limited format idea. So just to give you guys a heads up, that's what you're getting into in today's video. We're going to be doing some brainstorming, trying to think outside the box. And honestly, I think this format could be better than standard. I'm not saying it will take over standard, okay, guys? Please do not misunderstand me. But this would be a really cool limited format for you to try at your locals. You know, if you know the tournament organizer or something like that. And it's very malleable. You'd be able to change things around how you want to. But I think it's a really cool idea. I think I'm onto something here. So one more thing before we dive into this. I got this idea. Well, I got some inspiration for this idea from my Discord. So big shout out to Bonk. He was the person that he was trying to how do you say it? He was trying to come up with some ideas to change up limited format like sealed, where you basically come in with like a pre-constructed 40 card deck, and then whatever you get from 2 packs, you can add accordingly to the deck. And make it a little bit better with those cards, and then you play from there. Like you go up to 50 and play from there. And you still get to pick your leader, and whatever leader you pick, that would have a pre-constructed deck of mainly commons and uncommons, very few rare slots. Then I started thinking to myself, like, man, you know what? Like, that is a really cool idea, by the way. Again, big shout out to Bonk in the Discord. But then I started thinking, man, what if there was just another format where there was a limitation on rarity? That is what I would be very interested in playing. And what would we call it? I've got some ideas at the end of the video, but right now on the front here, I see it. I just call it ethical format because that's kind of the idea, right? The way that this game is trending is in an unethical direction. Some of the cards, the power creep is just out of control. It's insane, right? It's just absolutely wild. So let's go ahead and dive into this video. You know what you're getting into, and try to keep an open mind. I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section below. Tell me what y'all think. And at the end of the day, guys, this is just a theory craft video. This isn't going to be taking over. It's just a way to get some ideas out there. Okay. So the format that I'm talking about, whether you call it ethical format or whatever kind of name it would come up, or we could come up with for that sounds better, is there would be a deck construction limitation. Check this out. Now, you can have as many commons and uncommons as you want, up to 50 cards. It would still have a 50 card limit on the deck. You have to have 50 cards exactly. But you can have as many commons and uncommons as you want, okay? And at 4-ups. So in other words, you can have 4, you know, of this common, 4 of that uncommon, 4 of this common, 4 of that, just like the game is in standard constructed. However, right after you get to when you get to rares, right when you get past common and uncommons and you get to rares, look at this. You can only include 11 of them in your deck, okay? And that's at 3-ups. Do you understand what I'm saying there? So, you know, a lot of searchers are rares. Not all of them, but a lot of searchers are in the rare slot. Well, guess what? So Pudding, that's a rare searcher, right? Nami, that's a rare searcher. You'd only be able to have 3 in your deck, and now you only have 8 spots left in your rare category to add other cards. To put things in perspective, we're gonna look at some examples in a second. But another card that's a rare, 200 millivolts of Maru. Another card that's a rare is Houndblaze. Cards like that. Okay, and again, we're gonna look at some examples in just a second. Next up is super rares. Check this out. Only 7 super rares at 2 of a piece. So guys, that would mean all these cards on the front here, these are all super rares. Imagine when you can only include 2 Gecko Morias, 2 Tinlin, 2 of Doflamingo, 2 Newgate, and so on. You know, some other really incredible super rares, guys. 4-cost Borsalino, 7-cost Borsalino, 4-cost Rebecca, 4-cost Lucci. Do you see how hard it would be to include everything you need at that point? And it would require you to play the game more intelligently. Not to say that no one's playing it intelligently. I'm not trying to say that. Don't get any don't misunderstand what I'm trying to say. It would force you to play in a way that makes you battle for the board, not just with broken answers, not with a card that just says, okay, I'll reduce your cost, and flip, there goes the whole board. Now it's my turn. Okay, now it's your turn. Okay, all right, -5 there, -5 there. Now I flip the board. Now it's your turn, and you just keep up. No. And again, I'm not saying there's no skill in that, but I think this method would require you to hold back your answers for only when you really actually need them, and it would require you to play more intelligent in that regard. Okay, hopefully that made sense. And again, I'm not trying to say people aren't good now. You know, don't misunderstand me. Okay, and then last but not least, up to 3 secret rares or promos at a 1-of slot. So in other words, Katakuri, 8-cost, that is a secret rare. So you would only be able to include 1 of those in your deck. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, make sure you see this part on the right here to really understand the the magnitude of of how much of a crazy change this would be to the format and how interesting it would make it. I put promos in there as well because promos are hard to get, and it's also one of those things that, like, you know, I don't even know what's coming out for it. So if you limit it to a one of, it probably can't break the format. That's the whole idea there. Okay, and this would obviously affect Red Purple Law in a drastic way. And think about what this would do, guys, real quick before we move on to the next point here. This would also help, like, newer players kind of thing. And I'm not saying that it's all about newer players. It is a lot about newer players. We have to, you know, get more and more players into the game so the game can keep growing and so on and so forth. But it's also good for the older players, too, to just, like, be able to, you know, to just try something new. I don't know. I just feel like this would be a fresh, new, cool game mode to try. Okay, so down at the bottom here, let me keep going. These are 3 other restrictions, because I know people are thinking, oh, well, Nami would just run this format. Or what about Zoro? Zoro would just run this format. No, I don't think so, because listen to these other stipulations that would be stuck in the deck construction limitations category. No deck can have more than 10 events in it. It doesn't matter any rarity. It doesn't matter the rarity. So in other words, Nami with only 10 events is not the same deck anymore. Okay, you guys understand? Like, it is just a drastically different deck if it doesn't have all of those events to draw cards from. For Sanji's pull off, that's half their event slot. You gotta think of it like that. I think the standard Nami list right now is running something like 36 events, okay, or 38. I don't know the exact numbers. Y'all get the point. So this would, you know, they would not be able to play like that. Now, Nami would still be a leader and still be able to win through mill in this kind of format, but think about how much harder it would be. They'd have to actually hit with their Zeph or with their Usopp. It'd be much more balanced. You'd have much more chances of interacting, and that is the main idea of this format right here, this ethical format, quote unquote. I think there should be more interactions and not just broken cards that just, you know, removal, that kind of idea. Okay, or just flood the board. Y'all get what I'm saying. Okay, here's the anti-Zoro tech here. A deck cannot have any more than 7 searchers. And searchers being any card in the deck that says look at the top X cards. I don't care if it's top 2 cards, top 3, top 5, top 10 cards. It doesn't matter to me. It can't do it. Or you can only have 7 altogether, no matter what rarity they go across. Okay? And then lastly, any character who enters play from their trigger enters play rested. They come into play rested. So there is no more just Sanji off top. There's no more... and by the way, Sanji's a super rare. Okay? So you'd only be able to have 2 of those in your deck anyway. But think about, like, Brule. Think about... what's his name? Brule and Boa Hancock and all those kind of, like, really quick blockers like that. Now, Beige would still do what he does. But that's a rare card that you'd only be able to have 3 of in your deck. And then you only have 8 spots left to fill for your rare slot. So now, let's put that in perspective, guys. Let's look at some of the decks from the format currently, well, in OP05. So we are technically going into OP06 in the West. But let's take a look at these decks that are very well known, solid placing, you know, top decks piloted by some of the top players out there. So this first one here, this is the one by Railzo, who got 2nd place at Worlds this year, playing an OP05 Sakazuki list. And this is the list right here. Now, notice on the left here, green is commons and uncommons, yellow is rares, orange is super rares, and red is secret rare, okay? So guess what? This deck would have to trim down 1 secret rare because it's 2 of the same one. And remember the little slide here. You can only have 1 of a secret rare. You can have up to 3 secret rares in your deck or promos, but only 1 secret rare. You know, 1 unique. You have to have, you know, you can't have more than 1 of the same rare. There, a secret rare. That's what I'm trying to say. Now look at this. Super rares, they'd have to take 11 of them out of their deck. And they'd have to trim down 2 Borsalinos minimum, 1 Borsalino here, 1 Kuzan here. Just that, there's 4 gone right off the top. And then, what else? There's 2 here and 2 here. So there you go. They would have to trim all of their super rares down to a 2 of spot to get down to 9. I think so, if I did the math right. Y'all get my point, though. Well, actually, let me see something. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. No, that would just get them down to 10. They'd have to cut 1 more of these cards that are down to 2 ofs for the super rare slot. For the yellows, they wouldn't have to do a whole lot for rares. But remember, in this format, you would only be able to have 3 at a time of a rare. So Brandon would have to go down 1. Houndblaze down 1. And that would probably just fix where they were at, right? Because how many did I say? 11? Yeah, so that would literally fix this, the rare slot. And then commons, hey, that's all these would be fine. And that's one more thing I should mention. You see how this card is banned? You know, or this card's going to be banned, OP07, Great Eruption. In this format, no card is banned. Not even Kabaji. Because, again, they can only have 10 events in the deck at a time. And if that would still be broken, then I'd have to make adjustments from there, maybe just ban Nami from this format. Because I'm just trying to make things more interactive. That's all I'm trying to do. But I do think with only 10 events in the deck, it would be much harder for them to pop off like in that way. Okay, another example. Check this one out. This is Enel. I'm not going to walk through every single one of these like I just did with Sakazuki, but you guys get my point. This deck would have to shave off 3 secret rares because you'd only be able to have 1 Katakuri at a time. It'd have to shave off 2 of these, 1 Sanji, 2 of Yamato, 2 Enels, and then everything else. And look at all the rares, by the way. It would have to cut so many rares from the deck. And then all of a sudden, every one of these decks start approaching a balanced standpoint. Because imagine, like, real quick, don't worry, we've got 2 more examples to go through real fast. Imagine if 60% of your deck is commons and uncommons. So in other words, 29, it's, you know, I know 30 would be 60%, like 30 out of 50, but 29 out of the 50 cards in the deck would be commons or uncommons. They'd have to be because there's only 21 cards that are going to be able to be more than that. Like, I just think that like that kind of limitation, I feel like would be good for the game, personally. But again, I like where standard constructed is. I'm still going to be playing that, obviously. That's the real game mode. But this would be such a cool limited format to mess around with from time to time. And I would be curious to see what people say about it. Real quick, Katakuri, same idea here. Like, notice how close these numbers are. They would have to cut down a lot of secret rares, or super rares, excuse me. Look at how many super rares they run. They'd have to go down 1 Cracker, 2 Sanji, 1 7-Lin, 2 10-Lin, and 2 Parosparrow. And that would probably take them down to right around where they need to be. But then for yellows, for the rares, they have way too many. They'd have to cut 11 of these out. And then you see where you have to start running some of the worst, some of the lesser effective 2K counters instead of Struce and Satori. You see what I'm saying? Because look at this, guys. With this mode, the reason I picked 11 for the rares, super rares doesn't have as much logic to it. I just don't want people to have as many. But for the rares, I want people to be able to have 3 searchers, 3 solid 2K counters, and then 3 solid, what was the last thing? Like removal slots or events. So, for example, Houndblaze, 200 million volts of Maru, Gadatsu, you know, like cards that are just good utility stuff. And then 2 random utility, I should say, on top of that. So in this case, look, you would only be able to have your 3 Puddings, your 3 Gadatsus, your 3 Satoris, and now you only have 2 spots left for like either 2, what's his name here, Beige, or 2 200 million volts of Maru, or maybe at that point you have to move things around. Maybe you don't even run Satori anymore. Hopefully you guys see what I'm saying. Hopefully that's making sense. And then the last example here, this is from the Latin American Nationals. This is Purple Luffy. Every deck would suffer from this. So don't think like, oh, you did that to nerf one deck. Like, oh, you just did that to nerf Enel, Katakuri, and Sakazuki. No, every single deck would suffer from this. Even Nami, like I said, having to cut down to 10 events, and Zoro having to cut down to 7 searchers. Because I think the current Zoro list, I'm sorry I don't have it on right now, the current Zoro list runs like 4 Buggies, 4 Dedans, 4 Namis. So it would go from 12 searchers down 5. And only 3 could be Nami. Only 3 would be able to be Nami because she's a rare, Dedan's an uncommon, and Buggy is an uncommon. So, like, you know, you gotta... it'd be brutal, right? It'd be very brutal. But this Purple Luffy deck, look at this. This has 19 super rares. It would have to go down 12 super rares. So down 2 Magellan, because you remember, in this format, you wouldn't be able to have more than 2 of a super rare. Down 2 Polly, down 2 Kid, and down 1 Kaido. And then down 1 more of... Oh, excuse me. And then there's Trafalgar Law over here that would have to go down 2. And then 3 would just have to be cut entirely. You see what I'm saying? 1 Purple Luffy. That's perfect. Just like with this one, how they only had 1 Katakuri. That's perfect. That would fit perfectly. Okay? But hopefully you guys kind of see the idea of where we're going with this. And again, I don't want to ramble on for too long. I want to know what you guys think down in the comment section below. The last slide I have here is some possible names for this mode. There were like 3 I came up with: Ethical Mode, Paragon Mode, or Bushido Mode. And these are all like it's like honor mode. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's like, okay, what is ethical? It's not all about altruism or anything like that, but it's more an idea of like, okay, what is ethically appropriate for this game? And that's why, actually, let me go this way. That's why so many people were, you know, a lot of people wanted the Edward Newgate ban down to 1. I think down to 1 was a little too much. And the same thing, like a lot of people wanted Tinlin banned, or Gecko down to 2, or this Doflamingo down to 2. It's like, well, you know, honestly, it's not a horrible idea. Like, just across the board, though. Not just one color, just across the board as a way to, strengthen the format and not just require you to just, okay, I made it to turn 10, or, well, 10 dawn, and now we're just going to see who's got better late game characters. It's like, well, no, I would rather battle for the board, right? I'd rather, like, not have all these rares, super rares, and secret rares in the format and just battle for board. Right, guys, y'all tell me what y'all think down in the comment section below. I think this would be a really cool idea and a lot of fun. I'm not saying this is going to go into place anywhere. This is just a brainstorming, thought exercise, thought-provoking style video. And who knows, maybe it could be modified, because right now there's 21 cards that are not commons and uncommons. Maybe the better number would be 25, where, you go up to 12 rares, you go up to 10 super rares, and 4 secret rares. You see what I'm saying? And make these both be 2-ofs. Like, there's wiggle room. This is just like an initial concept of this idea that I had for this Paragon mode, this ethical mode, or Bushido mode style of game. All right, I'm done. Hope y'all enjoyed. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, peace.